Session for the 31st Guam Youth Congress is hereby called to order. I call on Representative McDonald for the prayer.
I wasn't aware that I was doing the prayer, but it's okay. So, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord, thank you for having us come all up here safely and for gathering us here today to represent everyone that we know in the best way possible and guide us that our heads are clear and our hearts are here for us today. Thank you. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.
I call on Representative Stiles for the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? I call on Representative DeChoso for the Guam hymn.
Fanogi chamoru purita nota kantai matsu no nyagi todu iluga parayonra parai gloria abibayet lasen para Arai gloria, abibayes lasen para, itodu item buipas para ita, zan ginini langit na bendition. Conchai peligru nahan safuhan Zeus protehis languam. Conchai peligru nahan safuhan Zeus protehis languam.
I call on Representative Adewag for the interfresi.
Interfresi, ginima staculum, gina socu, inima staculum, gicorasonu, danimas figu, naninas sinyahu, hu fresin maisetsu, parabayo patehi, zan defendi, I hinengi, I kotsura, I lenguahi, I iri, I hanum, zanitanu chamoru. Niran shakut diretu gniazdo ostata. Estilu afetma ihilo biblia zani banderahu ibandaran guahan.
Thank you. You may be seated. Would I be able to get a roll call?
Representative Adawag. Representative Adawag present. Representative Angara. Representative Angara present. Representative Carranza. Representative Carranza present. Representative Casilla. Representative Casilla present. Representative Chan. Representative Delory. Representative Farron. Representative Labang. Representative Labang present. Representative Larkin. Representative Lorenzo. Representative Lorenzo present. Representative Makepeace. Representative Keandra McDonald. Representative Keandra McDonald present. Representative Kenny McDonald. Representative Hannah Mendiola. Representative Mendiola present. Representative Perez. Representative Plus. Representative Quintanilla. Representative Richards. Representative Richards present. Representative Rigetti. Representative Rigetti present. Representative Rosario. Representative Santos. Representative Santos present. Representative Stiles. Representative Stiles present. Representative Valencia. Representative Valencia present. Representative DeChoso. Representative DeChoso present. Representative Felicen. Representative Felicen present. Mr. Speaker, there is a quorum.
Thank you. Moving on to call for approval of the Legislative Journal. Representative Valencia, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. But before that, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to move that the members not present here be excused.
There has been a motion to excuse the representatives not present. Are there any objections to this motion? Seeing as there are no objections, the motion passes.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to move that Representative Quintanilla's name be added to the roll call.
There's a motion to add Representative Quintanilla to the roll call. Are there any objections? Seeing as there are none, motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to move that items 7 through 11 be waived.
There's a motion to waive items 7, call for approval of the Legislative Journal, 8, communications and petitions, 9, messages from the governor, 10, reports of standing committees, and 11, reports of select committees from the agenda. Are there any objections? None. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Moving on to introduction and first reading of bills and resolutions.
Bill number 12-31, introduced by Javen W. Santos, GSC Rigetti, Stephanie F.L. Lorenzo, an act to allow all pharmacies to provide over-the-counter birth control relative to making contraceptives more accessible to the people of Guam. Bill number 13-31, as amended by the Committee on Education and Youth Affairs, introduced by Javen W. Santos, Stephanie F.L. Lorenzo, Christian F. Valencia, an act to add new sections 4126 through 4132 to Chapter 4, Division 2, Title 17, Guam Code Annotated, relative to the establishment of the Club for Credit program under the Guam Department of Education, and to cite this act as the Club for Credit Program Act of 2017.
Thank you. Moving on to motions. Could I have Representative Richards take the chair?
Representative Santos, you are recognized.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to move Bill 12-31 to the second reading file.
There's been a motion to move Bill 12-31 to the second reading file. Are there any objections? There are no objections. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representatives, if there's one thing that should be important to us, it should be that the youth is given the best life possible. We, as Youth Congress members, draft bills and make resolutions, all with the intention of trying to do what we can to help the youth of Guam. Though we can write tirelessly to create whatever new bills or programs that we think will give young people the best chance in life, the greatest factor that influences the youth is family. The youth of Guam deserve to grow up in a family that loves and supports them. The youth of Guam deserve to be able to discover their passions and dreams without being held back by circumstances beyond their control. Youth Congress can do both those things by voting to support this bill and voting for improved access for Guam contraceptives. In 2016, according to the World Abortion Report, Guam was found to have an abortion rate of 10%. That means for every 10 births, there was one abortion. Abortions are costly and can come with physical, emotional, and spiritual complications, complications which can be prevented through the use of contraception. Contraceptives can be used to treat a variety of ailments. The hormones in contraceptives do not only prevent pregnancy, but also treat acne, regulate and ease menstruation, and ease cramps related to menstruation. The medical benefits of contraceptives could reach a variety of audiences if they were over the counter. Furthermore, as I mentioned in the legislative findings, studies have shown that there is little risk to contraceptives. With medical well-being to gain and little to risk, is this not a step that would benefit the people of Guam? Raising a family is a huge task. It is a life commitment more permanent than marriage. People have a right to decide when they are ready to be a parent. Potential parents have the responsibility to plan their family so children may enter the world with the best situation possible. Part of that plan should be preventing pregnancy until they are ready. Those who cannot afford to schedule a doctor's appointment definitely cannot support a child. Regardless, those people should still be able to take precautions to prevent or postpone pregnancy to a date and time when they are ready. Many of you find that you cannot support this bill on religious grounds. I can empathize with this. Many arguments for preventing birth control range from children are a gift from God and we should not reject his gift, or God should decide how large our family is. But I would not want to assume that a loving God would want children born into a family or world that didn't want them. A loving God would not want parents who do not have the means to raise a child to be forced to. Furthermore, an all-powerful God's will cannot be defeated by a small pill. This may open the possibility that perhaps God wants families to be planned and parents prepared to bring up their children in the best way possible and according to their will. No person deserves to be forced into something they don't want. By having contraceptives more accessible, we ensure that the family will be prepared to love and support a child, which is what a loving God must intend. This bill serves to make contraceptives more accessible than they were before. Some may argue that something like this should be discussed with a doctor, but by tasking the Department of Public Health and Social Services to create regulations, we ensure that this shall be implemented in the safest way possible. Under the bill, one regulation shall be that and that an individual administer a self-screening to ensure that they are medically capable of taking the contraceptive. Every precaution will be looked at by the Department of Public Health to ensure that the people who are taking contraceptives will not be putting themselves at risk. People have the liberty to make decisions for their own mental and physical well-being. We, as a legislative body, should not discriminate this liberty by wealth, gender, race, or any category. Contraceptives can be used for both medicine and family planning. Therefore, allowing people more access to them will benefit the youth of Guam to come and the family lives of citizens. I humbly ask for your vote on this bill, and Sizos Masi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does anyone wish to speak on this bill? Representative McDonald, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, Representative Santos, I understand where you're coming from this bill, but then again, as many of you have told me through my past bills, we are not places that Guam is not a place like California or Oregon or other places that allow contraceptives to be over the counter. And you have a point about religious means being a factor, because it is a huge factor here on Guam. If families are not Catholic, then they're another type of religion, which is the majority here. And I've said this in one of our core meetings, that it is a political statement against the church, but I'm going to tell you why, because the church is in a place right now where they unfortunately have already dealt with scandal. And because the Guam Youth Congress doesn't have a means to put our own bills into session, to hold public hearings, to do certain things, to hear the public's input, then it's basically a political statement, whatever bill that this legislature passes, whatever this body passes. So unfortunately, it is considered a political statement, which I am not comfortable with. And like I said, Guam is not California, it is not Oregon, it is not any of those states. And another thing that caught my attention is that the contraceptives that you guys want to put over the counter is something that women have to take. And I'm not sure if I'm comfortable allowing women to take contraceptives without having a doctor's appointment, because there are side effects that come with these things. And there are cases where women find out that it's really not healthy for them, but it was over the counter because no one told them that their bodies aren't able to take it. Also, another thing is, I think contraceptives, just looking around the island, just going into those mom and pop stores, they're available. Why do we need a wide range that limits women to taking a bunch of things into their bodies that hold chemicals when there's one thing men can take? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I appreciate that you guys are willing to put this bill out there, because I can tell it is something that you're passionate about, but this is not the place for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative McDonald. Representative LeBang, you're recognized.
This bill, I will say, is controversial. The reason is that this could affect our community in a good way, but this bill might affect in a bad way in our religious community. However, in the Bill of Rights of the United States Constitution, the First Amendment states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause, it also created the separation between church and state, as what our founding fathers have justified. A preceding cases that further explained the separation of church and state was Everson versus Board of Education, 1947. Justice Hugo Black stated that the clause against establishment of religion by law is intended to erect a wall of separation between church and state. I just want to tell everyone in this legislative body that for voting in this bill, to vote with what would be the effects of the bill and not with the principles of our religion. Secondly, contraceptive pill or birth control pills prevent pregnancy through several mechanisms, mainly by stopping ovulation. It is not abortion where a fetus was released. If no egg is released, there is nothing to be fertilized by the sperm. A woman cannot get pregnant. However, it is not always 100% chance that a woman would get pregnant. With this bill, it would lessen teenage pregnancy, unwanted pregnancy, abortion, and orphans. The benefits of the bill could be Planned Parenthood, so parents in the middle class will be able to take care of their child and not pay for daycare that costs about $600 a month in average. It would also allow people to use birth control pills without prescription and available to teens so that they would not be pregnant to be able to finish their education and be successful, though they have done intercourse with their partner. I support this bill and I hope that everyone will be enlightened that this bill will benefit our community. Who knows, this might lessen abortion and help the church with their fight against it.
Thank you, Representative Lebang. Before I call on the next person, I would like to remind the body that I don't want to seem egotistical, but to respect the procedure, please address the chair, state whether you're speaking for or against the bill, or if you're going to address the sponsor. Representative, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Chair, I move to reflect Representative Delory on the roll call.
There's been a motion to reflect Representative Delory on the roll call. Are there any objections? No. Mr. Speaker, you're out of order. You need to wait until motions, or we can go back, but I don't think we want to do that right now. Yeah, all right, thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak on the bill? Representative Righetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to state my support for this bill, not just being a co-sponsor, but overall, and a lot of this is reflective of personal experiences with close friends who are in really complicated positions right now due to a pregnancy that happened or occurred in high school. And while there's amazing women on Guam, but I feel like a great majority are being in a situation where they have to grow up too fast, where they are struggling and they aren't necessarily in a position that they would have projected to be. Some of them are having trouble with completing their education, and then I don't think that that's any situation that we want our women or girls to be in. I do want to propose an amendment, actually. Can I make that at this time to the bill? Okay. So I guess I'll direct it to the sponsor of the bill. On line 20, under section 3, or 21, sorry. Section 3, line 21. As it stands, these rules and regulations will also require that no person under the age of 18 shall be allowed to purchase self-administered hormonal contraceptives without a prescription. Contraceptive. I would like to change that to 16. And the reason for this is to reflect the age of consent law in Guam, which is 16. I feel that this change would allow for more people to be able to access birth control, because it's not 18-year-olds, it's younger who are unfortunately in positions where they might not otherwise want to be in. And so I hope that you would understand that by lowering this age, that we would help more people, and it would be more effective in reaching desired demographic. So I would like it to read, These rules and regulations will also require that no person under the age of 16 shall be allowed to purchase self-administered hormonal contraceptives without a prescription.
Thank you, Representative Rigetti. In order to discuss the amendment, I'd like to call a 10-minute recess. Are there any objections? All right. We are in recess. I call session back to order. Please take your seats. Would anyone like to speak in regards to the amendment introduced by Representative Rigetti? Mr. Speaker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say that I support the current amendment given. If you look for the statistics, you'd find that Guam does have the third highest teen birth rate in America, and especially with teens, it would be even harder for them to provide for a child, and we definitely don't want we don't want to get in the way of those teens trying to make the responsible decision of whether or not they can support a family, and by lowering the age to 16, we allow these teens to make that decision themselves. And and at the same time, we are still requiring it to be as safe as possible. The Department of Public Health will be establishing rules and regulations, and there will be a screening tool, as it says in the bill, so that these adults and these teens can go to their pharmacists and they can give proof that they have screened themselves and they find themselves capable to take the prescription or to take the contraceptive, and ultimately, based on the screening tool, it would be to the decision of the pharmacist whether or not to give the birth control to the person. And I feel as though especially with the youth, with people under the age of, or people 16 and up, we should be able to trust that a pharmacist on Guam will be able to make the best decision for giving medicine to the people of Guam, and especially to their discretion be able to make a responsible decision for a youth of Guam. So allowing the age to be lowered to 16 would serve to hopefully make it easier for children to decide, or for youth to decide whether or not they want to be pregnant, and maybe having teens have better access to contraception can lower our teen birth rate and to lower the possibility of young adults not being able to provide for children that they otherwise could have to provide for children, or we don't want to force these young adults to provide support for a child when we don't even when it's not necessarily true that those young adults provide for themselves at that point. So in conclusion, I want to remind everybody that this will go through a pharmacist, and there will be screening in place, and I've left things as open to the Department of Public Health as I can to ensure that it will be the medical professionals making the decision on this, and it will happen it will happen with the medical professionals deciding what is best for the people of Guam, and it will, and with this amendment, it can even positively impact the youth of Guam. And once again, I'd like to reiterate my support of the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would anyone else like to speak on the amendment? Representative McDonald, you are recognized.
Mr. Chair, I would like to say that I'm not in support of this amendment nor of this bill, if you guys didn't find that out already. Okay, so let's take a look at the voting that this legislative body has done in the past. So let's take the first look at this. When we said that 16 was too young to drop out of high school to start looking for a job. So we didn't say 16, we said 18 was the age when students were allowed to drop out. And then let's look at the smoking bill that we have enacted, 2 of them. So one of the smoking bills said 18 wasn't old enough, let's move it to 21. Well, then why are we saying 16 is young enough to make this type of decision? You know, we're contradicting ourselves as we're stating that the youth, our previous positions have said the youth are not old enough to make these decisions that can harm their health or that can harm their future. And I know that many of you are for empowerment of women, but I don't see how having women put hormones into their body is empowerment. You know, granted I don't take these type of pills, but I do take pills when my doctor prescribes it, and they are harmful no matter what type, even if it's a cold pill. That's not empowerment. That's not respecting our bodies by putting chemicals that we probably don't even know how to pronounce into us. You know, I want everyone to think about this bill because it is very controversial, and it does affect everything that Guam really stands for, what the people of Guam stand for, based on, if we look right out the window, there's the Catholic Church right there, the cathedral. So, yeah, I really don't like this amendment, and I really don't like this bill, and I hope that many of you guys can see why I'm so anxious and passionate about going against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative McDonald. Representative Angara, you are recognized.
Okay. I would like to speak in support of this bill regarding what Representative Santos said about the teen pregnancy. There are many risks with teen pregnancy, therefore allowing this bill can help lower or prevent those
Representative Angara, is it regarding the bill or the amendment introduced?
Oh, the amendment, the bill,
The amendment.
the bill.
The bill?
Yes.
Okay, we're discussing the amendment right now.
Oh, okay.
Once that, we can, after we're done discussing the amendment.
Okay.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on the bill itself? I mean the amendment itself. I'm sorry. No? Representative Rigetti, would you like to give closing remarks on your amendment? Would anyone like to speak on the amendment introduced by her? Only the amendment right now. All right, thank you. Go ahead, Representative Rigetti.
Okay, so closing remarks. I just want to address what was said earlier by Representative McDonald, just previously, about this not being empowerment. This is definitely empowerment. This is the most critical form of empowerment, because when you allow women to choose the way of life, when you allow them to choose for themselves a future, when you allow them to choose whether or not they are ready to have a family, that is the most ultimate form of empowerment, I think. And in closing, I want to thank those who do support the amendment and the bill in general. And I really hope that you see that this isn't something that should be debatable, because when women have the rights to control what happens with their bodies and what happens in their future, for their education, for their family, and everything about them, that this is the ultimate form of empowerment, and I really want to urge you to please support this bill. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, we will now take the amendment to a vote. We will do it by show of hands. All those in favor? Thank you. The amendment passes. Now, would anyone else like to speak on the bill? Representative Angara, you're recognized.
Okay. Again, I would like to speak in favor of this bill because there are a lot of complications with pregnancy. Therefore, if a woman is not ready to give birth, I think that this bill or allowing the birth control to be accessible, then that could help prevent or lower those complications that comes along with pregnancy.
Thank you, Representative Angara. Would anyone else like to speak on the bill? Representative Lorenzo, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I would like to speak in favor of this bill. So we all know that this bill is a very controversial bill. There's different aspects such as there's religion, there's putting chemicals into our body that we cannot pronounce. There are so many different aspects, but for this I would like to ask that we maybe put aside our religious view and talk about this in general. This bill, or this thing that we're trying to do, is to allow birth control to be more accessible to women. This is important because there are so many unwanted pregnancies on the island. There are so many women who families that cannot afford to have a child. And how do you think that child will feel growing up, knowing that they weren't even wanted in the first place? I feel like that would hurt their development in so many ways. I will give a little example. I have a close relative who has PCOS, and for those of you who don't know it, that's polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now, this relative is unable to have children right now. She is 35 years old, but birth control is helping her. It's helping her regulate her menstruation so that maybe in the future she can have children, because having a child is not as easy as it was before. We need help from different medicines, from different doctors that could help a woman have a child. And maybe it was God's plan for her not to have a child right now, but I hope that God does have a plan for her to become a mother, because she would be a very good mother. Birth control isn't only about children or no children, it's about helping the women in general. Birth control helps with acne, helps with cramps, helps with the flow of menstruation, and that's really important. That affects a woman in their daily life, how bad it is. Sometimes they have to call in sick from work because they can't go to work because it's like a stabbing in your stomach. It hurts. And for the male, I understand that they won't understand fully of how we feel, but for all the women here, we know that there has been at least one time in our menstruation that we did not want to do anything, we wanted to die. I understand, I could empathize with you. So having birth control accessible, having it over the counter, having it so where young girls won't have to be scared to get a contraceptive will help them. And this is empowering women, because this is showing women everywhere that we have a right to say what goes into our body and what doesn't. And it is her responsibility to find out what are those, how can it help her in the long run. Because birth control may not only be for short term, but it's also for long term. So I hope everyone here today will, when we do come down to voting, they will put aside the religious, because it does have a big impact of it. But to put it aside for now and to think about women, to think about how this will affect their daily life. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Lorenzo. Would anyone else like to speak? Representative Valencia, I recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm a little on the fence with this bill, and not because of the issues that were talked about earlier, but I'm more on the fence because of the legal side or legal implications that the bill might create. In Section 2, it says, or it contains a notwithstanding provision. And I just wanted to pose a question to the sponsor of the bill, if there is existing law that currently that we can cite. If I may, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, will you yield to a question?
Currently, I don't have the information of an existing law, an existing local law relative to birth control or requiring a prescription. I will do further research, and I can address this question in the closing statements, if that's all right with you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's just why I'm on the fence. And also, because if we end up passing this bill, and if the governor signs it or gets to the legislature, Section 3 also states that the Department of Public Health and Social Services shall establish rules and regulations relative to allowing pharmacies, etc. So if we pass this bill with this notwithstanding clause and this provision that authorizes public health to administer or establish rules and regulations when there's already an existing law, I think there might be some room for confusion. And I think with a bill like this, I think there shouldn't be room for confusion. I think there should be standards that are set, there are rules that are set already, so that anybody who might purchase over-the-counter contraceptives will not have to go through any other hurdles. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Valencia. Mr. Speaker, I believe you guys have used your time. Would anyone like to yield time? To who? Lorenzo. All right, would anyone else like to speak on the bill? Representative Stiles, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I presume at least a few of us here, am somewhat ambivalent to the nature of the bill, have some concerns, the first of which being a certain terminological ambiguity present throughout the bill with regard to the definition, the legal definition of over-the-counter. As I'm aware, the Food and Drug Administration manages all of the drug classifications, and the hormonal contraceptives are classified federally as prescription medications. And I believe even in the state of California, even though pharmacists are allowed to prescribe hormonal contraceptives, they're not classified. They're not freely available without an actual prescription. So that's one sort of logistical concern that I'd like to call to attention. Another issue, of course, I have, this is more of a personal issue, of course, is earlier Speaker Santos, Representative Santos mentioned or strongly expressed the need for implemented systems of self-screening and the maximization of awareness among people making the decision to take hormonal contraceptives. That's already kind of implicit or intrinsic to the system we currently have in place, which is to require a doctor's visit. I believe it's freely available. I think it's covered, but you do have to make the appointment. So it seems as though there's kind of an antinomy, a contradiction, a conflict, if you will, between the desire to reduce birth rates and unplanned pregnancies and to increase the level of, or to increase awareness of and maximize informed decision. With that said, I think that by making contraceptives more freely available will ultimately confer a positive benefit to the people of Guam, to fertility rates, to teen pregnancies, and to address Representative Keandra McDonald's concern in likening this bill to the smoking bill. I believe the difference lies in the functional outcome or the predicted functional outcome of each bill. In the smoking bill, raising the smoking age to 21 would likely stop a very large percentage of adolescents from having access to cigarettes. Whereas, with this bill, I think regardless of whether or not this bill gets passed, adolescents will continue to have intercourse in high rates, and so the outcome, the functional outcome, is essentially an empowering one in allowing adolescents the opportunity to choose, make their own decisions, including and evaluate all the positives and the negatives, including potential side effects. And I think that ultimately this bill is a good one. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Stiles. Mr. Speaker? Oh, you'd like to propose an amendment? All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to make an amendment to page 2, line 6, and page 2, line 12. Both stating sell and distribute without the requirement of a prescription, and line 12 reading hormonal contraceptives without a prescription. I would like to amend that to read, amend both of those to read line 6, sell and distribute without the requirement of a doctor's prescription, and line 12, hormonal contraceptives without a doctor's prescription. Because the way that I had written this bill, I would like to have mirrored it off of the legislation from California. And the legislation from California, shows that though not required from a doctor, the prescription would still have to come from the pharmacist.
I'm sorry.
So, in order to mirror the original intent that I had tried to convey, I would like to offer this amendment because I see what this bill is really trying to do is to make it as easy as we possibly can. And though the self-screening tool is still going to be in place, we would like to not only make it easier to receive contraceptives, but at the same time to allow pharmacists and to allow the Department of Public Health to establish regulations that they see fit. And I'm hoping that this specificity will help clarify or to help show what the intentions of this bill are a little bit more. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, to clarify, you said without the requirement of a doctor's prescription?
Yes.
And that would be separating it from a different type of prescription? So then if you still need a prescription, would it be over the counter still? Or would you, just to clarify?
Maybe we should, maybe in the same amendment, I could amend the title as well to reflect that change as well. I could change the title to read, "An act to allow all pharmacies to provide..."
Perhaps more accessible? Is that more appropriate?
An act to allow all pharmacies to provide... Mr. Chair, I would like to call for a recess.
Any objections? We are in recess. Call the body back to order.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to withdraw the original amendment, but I would like to proctor a new amendment on line 2, section 4, to strike out the notwithstanding any other law clause, because through my research I have not found any local law to prohibit the bill of this passing without this notwithstanding clause.
I'm sorry, line 4, section 2, you meant, right?
Line 4, page 2, section 2, yes. Notwithstanding any other law. I would like to strike that clause out. The justification for that is that through my research, I was not able to find any Guam law that would garner the necessity for this clause. So the complications that were brought up by other representatives, I would like to address this. I would like to address this just by striking out this clause altogether. Thank you.
All right, are there any objections to the amendment? No objections. All right, the amendment passes. Would anyone else like to speak on the bill? You have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to send Bill number 12-31 back to committee on, I believe it was Health and Gender Affairs. Because as we're going through this, we're making a lot of amendments, some that we just withdrawn, mainly because the bill itself has not had a committee meeting to discuss everything that's in here. And coming from the legal side, I think it's the best thing to do is to go back and maybe for the sponsors and the committee to regroup on it. So.
Are there any objections to this motion? Mr. Speaker, would you like to state your case? Oh, it's not debatable. All right. No. All right, let's take it to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hands. All in favor, all against? The motion was to refer the bill back to the Committee on Gender Affairs. Yes, for more clarification. And because there was no committee meeting also. All right, one more time. Can we get all those in favor of referring it back to the committee? Can you leave your hands up, please, if you voted yes? One. Passed. Oh, it didn't pass. All right. The motion does not pass. We are still discussing the bill. And Speaker proposed the amendment to strike out line 4. Oh, that was, yeah. All right, would anyone else like to speak on the bill? Representative Casilla.
Hello. Okay. Hey, everybody. I want to start out with saying that I am in full support of this bill, except for the section 2 part, where there's some contradictions that I see. In case that, in the sense that section 2 ultimately states that, and the way I took it, that that contraceptives that aren't over the counter right now will become over the counter, and the contradiction I see is that in Speaker Santos's what he said is that, health, medical professions would be involved in the process, and that, we weren't putting our hands into something that we don't know, and we shouldn't have the power we're not putting our hands into something that we don't know. But as I see it in Section 2, it's outright saying that all these contraceptives will now become over the counter. And so if it was said that Department of Public Health will be involved in developing these regulations, what Section 2 says is actually saying the Department of Public Health will make regulations based on Section 2 saying that every contraceptive will now be over the counter, if that makes sense. It's kind of just telling them, okay, these are the things that have to be contraceptives. Can you now make rules that make all of these contraceptives over the counter? So it kind of, as for what I see, it doesn't really give any power to public health in determining determining anything, because the Section 2 already says that these contraceptives will now become over the counter. And that was one of the things I wanted to say is the contradiction within the bill. And the other thing I'd like to say is that I believe in this. We've said it all. It's been said, this bill is really controversial, and I think the reason for that is this is a bill that I see is stepping into grounds that we should not be a part of. Not in terms of the youth having a voice in what we're able to do, but in terms of the health side to it. When I think about it, when I'll just read off of this. When doctors implemented these provisions that we needed prescriptions, that certain drugs need their counsel, that need their advice whether we can take it or not, set everything aside. They didn't think about teen pregnancy rates. They didn't think about religious views. They didn't think about limiting they especially did not think about limiting the power of women with respect to their body. What they thought about is the safety and well-being of the patients, the teens or the women who will be taking these drugs, because that's what medical professionals do, and as an aspiring medical profession, that's something that I hold to. I'm not thinking about the person's religious views. I'm not thinking about the community's teen pregnancy rate. I want to make sure that the person who will be taking whatever I created and put out to the community, I want to make sure that they are safe. And just by doing with this law, it's removing these medical professions out of. They're the ones who created it, and what this bill is doing is taking them out. And so, in a sense, I see it as if we're taking something that we don't fully understand and just giving it away. And when I'm not sure, maybe I welcome anybody to rise in for point of information. If they could tell me, let's try to humble ourselves. I know that this is the Youth Congress where the youth's voice is going to be heard, but we do not have we don't have the knowledge as like those medical professions who created these provisions. We don't have the MDs, we don't have the PhDs that they have to understand why these provisions are set. If anybody can tell me the the chemical pathways of how these contraceptives work and how they affect our hormones and how they mess with our neural pathways, then by all means, let's see what we can do to curb this, just so that I deeply understand what's going on now in the community with the teen pregnancy rates and how we need to curve it down, but we first need to think about the health of the women taking these chemical cocktails. And that's my statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Casilla. Would anyone else like to speak? No one would like to speak? All right. Representative Santos, please give your closing remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to clarify some of the concerns that were brought up during debate, and I would also like to thank everybody for those concerns, because that helps us to create a more helps to create and ensure that the understanding of what is at stake is understood by the body. Representative Casilla's concerns on how the bill shall be read. This is just a bill in expressing the legality of the potential for pharmacies to sell and distribute the contraceptive. It doesn't take the pharmacies out of the situation, because the pharmacies are the ones that are selling and distributing, so they have the authority and the right to refuse to sell this, or they have the authority to their discretion on how to maneuver this to the best of their abilities. There is no mandate saying that all pharmacies will be required to sell this. It's just opening up to the potential of legality of it.
Point of information. I'm sorry. It's just that how I read it, it does say that it shall be legal to purchase. Shall be.
It's legal to purchase and it's legal to buy and sell. But the people who are buying and selling are the medical professionals, the pharmacies, and they have the right to decide how to stock their stores, and they have the right to do whatever's in their means to help their customers. There's no mandate specifically that says that the pharmacy will be forced to sell. So if the pharmacy sees this as something that isn't good for them, then by all means they have every right to refuse to do this. It's just opening the possibility.
Point of inquiry. Sorry again. So does this mean that pharmacies are allowed to deny contraceptives to teens? Should they be, for example, if a teen should go up and ask, like, I want this contraceptive, and then a pharmacist could say, I'm sorry, no?
Yes, that's the whole point of the rules and regulations. That's the whole point of things like the self-administered screening tool, which will serve to show the pharmacies whether or not somebody is able to decide to the discretion of the pharmacist. So, and the rules and regulations will definitely follow, but this is in no way forcing any pharmacies to sell. It's just pointing out the legality of, or saying that it can be legal, or that it is legal, but it's still the right of a pharmacy to decide what to stock their shelves with.
Before you continue, Mr. Speaker, I'd just like to recognize that There's a lot of clashing opinion on this, and I do think that it would be a good idea to move the bill back to committee and have a committee meeting on it. So I'd like to make a motion myself to move it. Or can I? Is that out of order? I was told that we can reintroduce a motion. I can see that you're very passionate about it, and I don't want to just see it go down in flames because of lack of clarification. I think we should clear things up before we take it to a vote to pass.
I think my main concern is that if this were to go into committee and it were to be prepared for session within the next 2 months, I would not be here to defend my own bill. So for that concern, I move to override the chair's decision to place this into committee, or to place this to return this to the Committee on Health and Gender Affairs.
All right, I believe we take this to a vote. All in favor to reject, to override the decision of the chair, please raise your hand. Fails. Sorry. So the bill moves back to committee, to the Committee of Gender Affairs. But the Committee of Gender Affairs didn't have their meeting, so we'll move it back to the original committee. No. Mr. Speaker, please resume the chair.
Could I have Representative McDonald please take the chair?
Speaker Sanchez?
Madam Chair, I move to reflect Representative Delory on the roll call.
Any objections? No? Okay. We will now reflect Representative Delory on the roll call. Mr. Speaker?
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to move Bill 13-31 to the second reading file.
Is there any objections? No? Okay. We have now moved the bill to the second reading file.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bill 13-31 is based on a piece of legislation that I worked on in the 30th Guam Youth Congress, and the intention of the bill is really to kind of heighten the worth and the well-being of, or heighten the worth and hopefully to maximize the productivity of clubs and extracurricular programs within the public school system. To me, clubs and extracurriculars provide an educational opportunity that is, of course, different than what you would normally find in the classroom, but it also serves to give you many useful skills that can be applied to life after high school. And this bill serves to recognize clubs for the educational opportunity it is by establishing that you can potentially have the option to take credit, a credit for school by having, you can receive a credit for participation in a club. Now, the bill serves to define the credit incentive process and the grading process, and I tried to be as thorough as possible, but in order to summarize the main intentions of the bill in my opening statements so that the body can understand what this bill entails, I would like to I just like to go over it for a few. I would just like to go over it in order to clarify for the body. Now, the club, in order to get the credit, you have to go through an approval process, and you would have to go through advisors' consent, parents' consent, and you know, all of the logistical opportunities or all the logistical cases to ensure that the credit is approved by the school and the parents, and in order to make sure that the credit program is the most efficient as possible. This piece of legislation defines the grading system for this Club for Credit program, and the grading system serves to not only allow students to receive a grade for this credit, but also to ensure that the club that the student justifies that the club that they were in is an educational opportunity for them, as well as to maximize the productivity of the club. At the end of every semester, there is a the Club Fair Project Expo, which can serve as an opportunity for the people who are partaking into this program to not only show what they had accomplished in the club, but to also kind of serve as like a club fair for students to reach out to other students and show, this is what my club is doing, and this is what you could be doing too, and these are the many options that we have for school, in our school as a club. Now, I foresee this piece of legislation to affect the school in many positive ways. I foresee that by justifying the educational opportunities of a club, students will have the opportunity to spend more time on club activities, which can serve for the club to accomplish even more goals. Having this rigorous club grading system will serve to make sure that the student who partakes in this program is efficient and as productive for this club as possible. And lastly, I hope that this bill serves to improve the perception of clubs, because I do know that many people in the public school system don't see clubs as a productive use of their time. But I hope that by establishing this program, people will see the benefits of joining clubs, and club and extracurricular membership will rise, and the diversity of the types of interests that these clubs recognize will hopefully prosper. And I hope that we'll start to see a rise in all the things that these clubs and extracurriculars can accomplish. So, yeah, this bill was something that I had been inspired to address in the 30th, and I reintroduced it into the 31st now with a little bit more experience and with a little bit more support from my co-sponsors, and I hope that if there's any questions that any representatives have on this bill, because I do know that it's one of the lengthier ones, I will be free to address them, but I hope that all of you see the benefits of this bill and how positive it can impact the schools of Guam. And if there's no questions that I can clarify, I do hope that you guys, that my fellow representatives would be able to support this bill. Thank you.
Is there anyone that would like to speak on behalf of this bill? Representative Lorenzo?
Hi, so I would like to speak in support of this bill because I truly think that this does bridge the gap. I mean, a couple months ago we talked about the compulsory age of letting students go to school and everything and then we had this whole debate about the workforce and whether or not they're going to go to school or not and how they're going to support their families. So I feel like maybe with this bill, the student has the opportunity to get the skills to apply them to the workforce while still getting the credit for their education. So I hope everyone here supports this bill. Thank you so much.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on behalf of this bill? Yes, Representative?
I have a question for anybody here in public school, high school right now. For you guys attending, can I please ask for you guys to make a testimony about how service learning is for you and how it would be different for this with regards to this bill?
Point of information, Madam Chair, this bill is by no way affiliated with the service learning program. This would be a separate entity to exist with the service learning program.
Can one of you guys just please infer what service learning program is so all of us are aware of the differences? Because it's kind of confusing now that we're putting two different things together. Do you understand?
Okay. So from what I remember when I was still in GW is that service learning is this program implemented where students have to put in a certain amount of hours doing various community service that they log, and it's something that is required for them before they graduate. And the reason why I'm just asking for this is just to first of all, I'm in full support of the bill, and I just wanted to show how the Club for Credit would be, because I see how it could be. There's some potential arguments about how there's already service learning, and then why do we need this Club for Credit thing? I just wanted to show that it is definitely different than service learning. So if I could just get a simple testimony of how simple service learning is right now as opposed to what the Club for Credit would be.
Before we allow you guys to make testimonies, if you are, I believe Representative Stiles raised his hand as well. So if you don't mind, if you can go first.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and take this as an opportunity to juxtapose my support of the bill with a bit of an expositional, or I guess you could say an expository clarification on the content of the bill, as well as its differences and similarities with the service learning program. While service learning is a program focused on community service, I believe it's logged by the student and approved by advisor, teachers. Teachers also, I believe, validate service learning hours. This is kind of intrinsic to clubs themselves. When we parsed through this during the committee meeting, this is essentially how I understand the bill to work. So, first of all, the intent of the bill is to increase the index of, I believe anyway, is to increase the index of productivity for clubs in the school. So those clubs being officially recognized clubs in high schools, so clubs that have already been incorporated and recognized as official clubs, basically. It's an optional program that a student undertakes with the consent of an advisor. And I believe clubs already have their club advisors, so that's kind of a redundant thing. So that would be the advisor. They log their hours, and I believe will Representative Santos yield to a question?
Representative Santos?
Yes.
Did we amend the part with the biweekly writing assignments, or is that still in there?
The biweekly, the assignment?
Yeah.
We didn't remove it. It still
Okay.
exists within the grade requirement.
All right. So the hours are logged. There's biweekly writing assignments, and as I understand it, there's projects that serve to validate credit that has been accrued over a certain amount of time. So it's essentially, and the I guess the incentive is that it's an elective credit. So someone who is missing an elective credit or would like to undertake this program as an alternative to an elective would be able to do so, which I think is a pretty cool idea because it affords, it not only is symbiotic, synergistic with the club programs themselves in providing an incentive that is intrinsic to students' individual curricula. It also kind of affords students with kind of a heightened agency because it gives them more options, essentially, than what is offered by the elective selection of their school. So that's the reason, in a nutshell, why I'm in support of the bill. I hope that served to clarify your concerns regarding the distinction from service learning hours. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that are you ready to make your testimonies? Or do you need a recess?
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to call recess.
Any objections? No? Okay, we're in recess for maybe like 5 minutes. 5-minute recess. Okay, this 31st Guam Youth Congress session is now back in order. Okay. So, is anyone ready to give their testimonies now? Yes, Representative?
Can I make a motion to amend page 7, line 4, the school year from 2019 to 2020 to 2018 to 2019?
Is there any objections to amend that section? Representative LeBang?
I think if we move it earlier, there might be confusion with the upcoming school year, and yeah,
I'm sorry, can you repeat what you said?
that there might be confusion if we make it earlier. Like, what is the amendment again? Like, what school year? 2018 to 2019 is too soon.
So you want
Just keep as it is.
to keep it as is?
Yes.
Does anyone else have anything to add to the objections? Okay, you can go ahead and speak on the amendment.
To me, this piece of legislation is from when I was in the public school system, and I thought, wow, this could really benefit. This could really benefit the public school people, or the people in the public school, including myself. But ultimately, I feel as though if those in the public school feel they feel that having this happen sooner would greatly assist them, and we can find a way to make that happen, then I say, why not? So if the body and if those who will be most impacted of them support this amendment, then I definitely will too. Thank you.
Okay, we can bring the amendment to a vote now. So we'll do a raise of hands. All of those in favor of the amendment, just raise your hand. Okay, the amendment passes. Is there anything else anyone would like to add to this bill? Representative Zosho?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say my piece on why I'm in favor for this bill. And it's because I am also a part of an organization. It's called DECA, OHS DECA. And it would be nice to have this program implemented next year so I could also take advantage of it. But seeing as how I won't have that chance, I still see the benefit because it can still benefit the others in my organization. I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure I'm not the only person here who can say that I am a part of a club or have been a part of a club that is meaningful to me, because I've had a lot of experiences in this club, but I've also learned a lot from it. And I also have that I've also had the opportunities to learn more about myself and what I want to do in the future. So that being said, I completely support this bill, and I think that it gives people or students a chance to really make that decision and have that, forgot the word that somebody used, but a greater agency or a better or more control over like what they want to do. So I support this bill, and yes, that's my piece. Thank you.
Representative Bang?
Madam Chair, is it okay if Speaker Santos yields to a question?
Speaker Santos?
Okay, Madam Chair, in page 5, section 6, under Club Fair at Project Expo, It says here that a club fair expo where the official body shall observe the state's presentation of their club and organization. My question is, where would it happen? And is it only between the school's club fair, or it could be extended to where all of the school clubs and organizations from public school, private school will be involved into one big event? Oh, I'm so sorry. Just public school.
I really didn't specify because, I guess that really didn't cross my mind to specify, but I feel as though since we've allotted this club fair to happen, that it could be to the Department of Education to decide whether it's something that's within the school, like a club fair within the school, or it could be expanded further. If it could be expanded further to have it like a DOE day or something where everybody can be there to, or everybody from all schools can be there to see how these students are accomplishing things within this program. But I mean, to me, it doesn't really. I feel that this Club Fair Project Expo will be able to achieve its goals, whether it's in the school or something, whether it's within the school and it's school by school basis, or if it's something that's unified. But if you would like to proctor an amendment to specify that, that'll be fine. But I see, as long as the club fair happens, that the location to me is not necessarily as important of a factor. But I hope that answers your question.
Just for clarification, Speaker Santos, is the schools the ones that decide whether or not if they want to hold a club fair in the beginning of the year, or is that in the law that you're saying there has to be a club fair, or is that up to the schools?
Because the club fair is a required part of the curriculum of this program, by law we are requiring that this Club Fair Project Expo happen, but where and whether it's a unified or separated by school thing, I did not necessarily clarify, but it definitely it definitely could be if that's the will of the body.
Okay.
Thank you, Speaker Santos. I want to give up my testimony. I support this bill because it will benefit students who join clubs for their hard work and efforts. For this year, I've been in 3 clubs, and it's hard for me to manage my co-curricular activities with what classes I have. Sorry. This would benefit the people who is hardworking and who is committed to be a club member for a certain club. That's all. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Yes.
Hello. Okay. Actually, wasn't done when I asked some representatives to make a testimony. I also wanted to speak further. So, I'd like to express my support for this bill, as I can testify as how I remember when I was in high school, where I was in plenty of clubs, just like how all of you and how a lot of us can testify here. With me, for example, when I was in NHS, we almost had a community service twice a week, and I can't remember how many times my mom had to pick me up, drop me to certain places, and just looking back in how NHS benefited me, going out of high school, I know the types of community services out there for the community, and when I relate it to where I'm at now in UOG, there's actually a class that's called SW 101, Intro to Community Service. And so when I look at that course in UOG and compare to my experience from NHS, I see it as equivalent, and it doesn't just stop there. I can remember being in Marine Mania, which is an environmental club, and I can relate it to something equivalent even to the university level, where BI 100, environmental biology. And it also doesn't stop there. I was also part of junior achievement, and I can relate it to BI 110, principles of economics. And I personally, I feel that I've learned more about the economy while I was in junior achievement. Other than that, I was in close-up, and it was on the same level as what I was. The amount of experience and knowledge I got when it was in close-up was almost the same as what I was getting from my American Government Honors class. And all in all, I just think that there are things learned in clubs that aren't taught in classes, and just like one of the testimonies that was said over here, clubs actually give us the freedom to. It's a real elective where you're free to choose and expose yourself to something that you'd like. And I'm just in full support of this bill. I see the potential of how extremely beneficial clubs are. And if I were to look back, if I were to look back and think if I did not join these clubs, I wouldn't be as prepared for college as I would have. There's these general eds that are required by the University of Guam, such as communication, and parts of those courses you need leadership and communication skills. Going from all the things I've learned joining all these clubs before, I could say that I was more than prepared than some of the students who did not participate in clubs. That's my testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to add their own testimony? Yes.
Madam Chair, I'd like to yield my time to Representative Chosa.
Okay, why don't we have the representative? Okay, go ahead, Representative Sosha.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry, I just wanted to go again because I don't think I'm hearing objections coming from the body. So I don't know, that just concerns me because I just want to make sure that everybody understands the intent of the bill. So I'm going to bring up my own objection, or it's not really my objection, it's more an objection that I've heard towards clubs, if that makes sense. Because I was talking to a student once who was on the fence about joining a club. And her objection was that she wants to focus more on her grades and less about, the clubs that are there. So in my head, I'm thinking, that's fine. Everybody has that decision to make. But what I think is most beneficial about this bill is that for those of us who aren't exactly, top 10 students, I don't see myself as somebody who's going to be in top 10, just to be, thank you. But just to put that out there. And the organizations that I'm a part of in my school give me that sense of achievement. Even though I won't be in top 10, I still have something to be proud of. And that's not to say that top 10 is better than being in a club. It's to say that everybody has those avenues of what makes them feel successful. And I believe that's the intent of the bill. So if there are objections to the bill, I would, absolutely love to hear it. But the way I see it, I see that there are a lot more positives in this program than negatives. Thank you.
Representative Richards.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to speak in support of this bill. I think it's great. It provides not only an opportunity for social engagement, but also an opportunity for alternative learning. I think not everybody learns well in the classroom, and this provides an opportunity to gain credit through engagement in hands-on activities. So I support it for that. But I do have one concern, which I brought up at the committee meeting. I would like to direct a question to Speaker Santos. If we clarified how...
Would you like to yield, Speaker Santos?
Yes.
If we clarified on how the program would be evaluated, I guess, as far as accreditation and the like.
In terms of evaluation, I did go over the requirements that are in place to, in order to receive a credit for a class. The Department of Education currently uses the Carnegie time requirement in order to justify that the amount of time you took in the class is enough time to justify that you received the ample education in that subject. So in that part of accrediting this program, it does, I feel as though it would hold up there. And when this bill would potentially be seen to enact, I hope that the Department of Education takes this as a step towards, or takes this legislation and puts it into a way that would proctor its the full vision of this bill. And I do know that there are very similar programs that exist, that are currently in existence. I feel as though this can be monitored and accredited very similarly to the School to Work program. And I do know that at least at GW there was a class that was accredited and offered for credit during lunch for those behind in credits and would like to graduate on time. So I feel as though this can be accredited similarly so that those who would like to receive this credit can have a variety of options. And I hope that answers your question. I tried my best to align it with the time requirement, and hopefully once the momentum for this bill gets moving, it can be discussed further what the requirements would be to make sure that this program does get accredited.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have one more question, just on the definition of the club. Does it have to be school affiliated, or is that just implied, or do outside clubs count? Can those be evaluated for credit also?
I had left that to the discretion of the department, and I had also left that to the discretion of the advisor and the body, the official body that would approve and monitor this program. But because it more than likely will end up being clubs within the school, but if there is a certain project or opportunity that a student pursues outside the school that they feel and that the official body feels and their advisor feels that is something that would warrant a credit, it can be definitely discussed. So that part I did also leave open, but if you would like to specifically narrow down that definition to clubs within the school, then we can definitely make that amendment.
I think it's fine. Just thank you for clarifying, Mr. Speaker. So yeah, I'd just like to ask all of my colleagues to please vote in support of this bill. Thank you.
If there is no one else that has a question or an objection to the bill, will someone make a motion to move it to the third reading file? Santos?
Madam Speaker, would I also be able to make my closing statements?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So in closing, I would just like to thank everybody. I appreciate that the support of this, or that this bill, the feedback from this bill was overwhelmingly positive, and I hope that we can get the ball rolling on this bill if the body wills it to pass, so that the students of Guam can have an immersive and varying and diverse educational experience that would hopefully serve to help them develop skills, to establish and pursue interests, and to just grow socially and to grow as a leader. This bill, like I said in the opening statement, this bill serves to sort of justify how huge an impact clubs have on can have on students, and to encourage more students to take advantage of that, because honestly, a club or organization, all it takes is one interest and a bunch of passionate people, and that can blossom into a really productive program or opportunity where people are pursuing the interests that they're passionate about. So in closing, I hope that all of you support, or I hope that this bill passes, and I thank you all for your support. And with that being said, Madam Chair, I would like to move this, I would like to move Bill 13-31 to the third reading file for voting.
Are there any objections? Okay, great. We're moving the bill to the third reading file. Okay. I would like to call Speaker Santos back up to the chair.
Could I get second roll call? Oh, yes, Representative Valencia.
Mr. Speaker, I move that second roll call reflect first roll call.
There's been a motion to have second roll call reflect first roll call. Are there any objections? There are none. Motion passes. Could I get the third reading file?
Bill number 13-31, as amended by the Committee on Education and Youth Affairs and further amended on the floor, is introduced by Representatives Javen Santos, Stephanie Lorenzo, and Christian Valencia, an act to add new sections 4126 through 4132 to Chapter 4, Division 2, Title 17, Guam Code Annotated, relative to the establishment of the Club for Credit program under the Guam Department of Education, and to cite this act as the Club for Credit Program Act of 2017. Representative Adawag? Representative Adawag, yes. Representative Angara? Representative Angara, yes. Is it aye? Representative Carranza? Representative Carranza, yes. Representative Casilla? Representative Casilla, yes. Representative Delory? Yes. Representative Delory, yes. Representative Dichoso? Representative Dichoso, yes. Representative Felician? Representative Felician, yes. Representative Labang? Representative Labang, yes. Representative Lorenzo? Representative Lorenzo, yes. Representative Keandre McDonald? Representative Keandra McDonald, yes. Representative Mendiola? Representative Mendiola, yes. Representative Quintanilla? Representative Quintanilla, yes. Representative Richards? Representative Richards, yes. Representative Rigetti? Representative Rigetti, yes. Representative Santos? Representative Santos, yes. Representative Stiles? Representative Stiles, yes. Representative Valencia? Mr. Speaker, the bill passes. Mr. Speaker, it was a unanimous vote.
All right, with the unanimous vote, Bill 13-31 hereby passes. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to brief extension of remarks. Does anybody have any brief extension of remarks relative to the business that we had discussed today? Seeing as there are none, we are moving on to announcements. Does anybody have announcements? Representative McDonald?
I hope that all of you are able to make it to the Ganya Heights Coconut Fair that's going on right now until 10 o'clock. So if you just go up that hill and then go up towards like the church area, you'll see the mayor's office before you get to the church. And it's pretty big and it's fun. And there's ahu and fresh coconuts. So yeah, please try to make it up and please enjoy yourselves and drive safe.
Thank you, Representative Keandra McDonald. Does anybody else have announcements? I have a couple announcements. As per Senator Bisco Lee's office, they are requesting that they are requesting our support in they're requesting our support this Friday to assist them with the trash sorting for the Relay for Life. And and Senator Bisco Lee further apologizes for not being able to attend session today. But like I said, in terms of the Relay for Life, if anybody is interested, you can talk to Kaliko, who is our community service chair. And he had already expressed to me that he has a sign-up sheet going. So if anybody wants to support this Friday, it would be from 10 p.m. to midnight. The task would be sorting through the trash and the recycling with Ms. Peggy Denny. And if any of you guys are interested in the community service, then you can contact Kaliko, or I believe you would be able to contact Senator Bisco Lee's office or Kin if you guys are interested in helping. Sorry, bear with me. One more announcement. For June and July session, I just wanted to let everybody know that Representative McDonald will be taking on the role as acting chair until I return from a conference in DC. So okay, thanks guys. But yeah, Representative, I am leaving the speakership to Representative McDonald. You guys better behave and to and yeah, I'm really looking forward to what you guys end up working on while I'm gone. But yeah, just letting you guys know that. Yes, Representative Valencia.
This is more of recognition. Mr. Speaker, I'd like the body to recognize the recent graduates in our Youth Congress. Representative Lorenzo, who recently graduated from the Academy of Our Lady of Guam. Representatives Makepeace, Perez, and Rosario, who recently graduated from Father Greatness Memorial School. And to our DOE graduates who will be graduating in the coming months, or in the coming month actually, Representatives Mandiola, Lobang, Angara. Oh, she's not Angara. Adawag. Not yet. Okay, just kidding. So whoever you are, congratulations.
I would also like to recognize Representative Richards as well for graduating from
yes.
CCC.
I forgot his graduation, and I forgot. And now, Mr. Speaker, if there are no other announcements, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn, subject to the call of the Speaker.
All right. There has been a motion to adjourn session. He motioned to at the call of the Speaker. We shall reconvene at the acting Speaker's call. Are there any objections? Seeing as there are none, session for the 31st Guam Youth Congress is hereby adjourned.